All right, so thank you everybody so much for joining on the next webinar of our rent collection series. So we've got an awesome guest with us, Alonna Ross of storageauctions.com. So she's going to be dropping some knowledge and giving her expertise on everything you need to know about recovering lost rent and some of the benefits of online auctions. So we do have a few housekeeping items before we get started. So we do have the chat open. Feel free to, add your questions in there. We'll be doing a live Q&A at the end. So feel free to comment throughout the webinar or also drop in where you're located at. We can see where everyone's tuning in from. As a disclaimer, we're not lawyers, so we do recommend that you, reach out to the Self-Storage Association or even your state associations. Alonna and Scott are very, very knowledgeable about all things collections and auctions. And I'm sure, Alonna, you even have a ton of great resources to reach out to. So feel free to lean on them if you have any questions. So with that being said, I'll pass it off to Scott and Alonna and they can give their introductions.
Okay. Thank you, Alyssa. Welcome, everybody. So a little bit of background on myself. I've been in self-storage for about 6.5 years. I've done hardware, I've done software. I joined the CallPotential team on their business development. CallPotential, we basically provide automation tools for operators to kind of assist them to make their life much better. But I joined CallPotential a year and a half ago, and I was a competitor. I said, if you can't be in, you might as well join them. So Alonna, tell us a little about yourself.
All right, so Alonna Ross, I am the business development manager for storageauctions.com. Just like Scott, I have been with storageauctions.com for about a year now. I started my career 11 years ago with U-Haul. I was part of the U-Haul corporate team. I have worked from trucks to software to insurance. So it was a weird transition because just like Scott, where you can't beat them, join them, I went from saving people's stuff to selling people's stuff. So I've done a complete transition. I also have the pleasure of being on the board for the Arizona Self-Storage Association. So I do have a lot of access to some lawyers out there. I tend to be the opening act for several of our lawyers, as auctions tend to go hand in hand, much like with collections and auctions. I would like to put it out there though. I just referred to collections and auctions as peanut butter and jelly. We kind of go together, but we call peanut butter. So you guys can be jelly.
Awesome.
I love it. Love it.
Love it. Well, and Alonna has been my kind of road warrior crew member whenever we are in those in-person meetings. So even though we can't be in person, we've been participating in a lot of different webinars. So it's kind of fun. You think, yeah, like I said, peanut butter and jelly, we play nice in the sandbox, right? So, and then our companies, one thing that is unique is, our companies our founders are operators. So these are from operators' perspectives. So, all right, well, enough about us. Let's talk auctions.
All right.
So auctions are part of the business. I guess, what is online auctions? Let's start with there.
So a simple way to think of online auctions, if you throw up Storage Wars and eBay and they had a baby, that would be online auctions, because it is an online platform where we market and sell delinquent units for self-storage owner and operators. It's the easiest way to explain it. So.
Yeah, and obviously, I think Storage Wars came out about 10 years ago. It really, was not a good picture of what self-storage is.
It really, it glamorized, people were excited to sell their belongings. That's a huge piece of misinformation. We've talked before, my family's actually in self-storage. I don't go skipping into the facility gonna sell people stuff today.
Exactly.
No, we try everything possible to get them to come pick up their items or pay their bills. It's not a fun day when you have to auction it. The best auction is one that doesn't take place. So I'm all for getting them to clear out their units, but auctions are a necessary part of our industry because we need our rental space back. So we got to get it out. It has to go to auction.
Okay, so we saw that in Storage Wars. online auctions, I guess how does somebody go about doing the online auctions? How does that work?
Online auctions are virtually the same as what you would do for your in-person auction. You're still following the same lien laws. If your state requires that you post something in the newspaper, the only thing that changes is you, instead of saying it's taking place at ABC Self-Storage located at 123 First Street, you're saying it's taking place at, for example, for us at www.storageauctions.com. So that is the only difference. You're still following the same lien laws. Most locations, even when they were doing in-person auctions, they were still taking photos of the contents of the units for liability reasons.
Sure.
This is what I'm saying was in this unit when I opened it up. A lot of locations take videos when they're opening the units and the contents of the units so they can prove, I cut the lock, that 65-inch flat screen TV they're claiming was in here wasn't there when that lock came off. So you're virtually the same. The only thing different, instead of you just holding on to the photos, you're uploading the photos onto the website. And that is when things kind of change. So with online, you're getting one singular person for your unit who won the unit at your facility rather than 40, 50 people standing around your storage facility, parking all their trucks and trailers in your parking lot, using your bathroom, all sorts of stuff. You're not getting those anymore. You're getting the singular person who won that unit. So for me, being in insurance before, that's a huge liability.
Oh yeah.
In-person auctions scared me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Then who bids on this stuff? Are you getting more people bidding?
Yeah, we actually get hundreds of new bidders every single day. We get them from across the country. Right now, we're seeing more first-time bidders because people are trying to earn money where they may be, short on money right now with everything going on. So they're looking for an additional source of income. So they're buying these storage units. Maybe it has a dresser, a washer, a fridge. It always has a mattress because storage is where mattresses go to die. And they buy these and resell them. So you can buy a unit for $50 and, wash up the dresser, give it a coat of paint.
Easy
and
cash.
We had more people when auctions started coming back with the pandemic, paying more, almost double what they were used to paying for units because they needed to get that money back. So they were willing to pay more for the units.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And Alonna, I know you troll me on Facebook on my SWIP swap. I because I have two girls, she tends to put little notes about the things that I'm selling. Maybe I should start looking on the auctions to start selling some things.
We do. We have a phenomenal unit here in Arizona going for Storage Sense, just in case you need to know. It has a huge wine fridge, has a couple dressers, a mirror, and I do post about them in the various marketplaces for Facebook. It's a great place to advertise your options.
Great marketing tool.
I will tell you, I'm learning more and more that the people of Facebook are odd. I mean, I thought my friends were odd, but these people that reach out to me about these items, I'm like, So yeah, I have friends. I have a good friend who actually still works for Ponderosa, part of U-Haul where I came from. And he has bought 4 units and he's invested about $200 into it. And he has made about $1,800 out of profit. So he's done.
Not too bad. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
Probably not something I need to do when I'm in the middle of moving.
No. Well, I mean, you could just throw your stuff that
might
you
be
don't
the best time
and auction it off. It'll make it go away real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see some great things in there. We had one recently that was filled with trains. Who knew toy trains would be worth so much money? That unit sold for $12,000. Yeah, toy train, Lionel trains.
Hey, the things that people like. I mean, sheesh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can start. We can take our next poll.
All right.
So we want to reach out to you guys. Let us know. Are you using only live auctions right now? Maybe you've moved over to just online, or kind of a mixture of both. I know a lot of operators are doing that right now too. So I'll throw up our first poll and I'll give you guys some time to answer it. There we go.
So as we're getting the answers, So Lana, you said there's a lot of new bidders. How
Yep.
are you attracting new bidders, first time bidders?
We do a lot of marketing and advertising from Google AdWords. We use a company called Auction Zip. So that's like the spare foot for auctions. So you think of an aggregator in our industry, everybody thinks spare foot. Well, in my industry, in auctions, that's Auction Zip. We go through and we do Facebook ads. We will do, you'll have me posting in SWIP swap groups. I'm part of a SWIP swap group in every state in the United States. I accidentally sometimes post things in the wrong state for my stuff because I was just posting in Memphis, Tennessee a few weeks ago, and magically I had to sell something for one of my kids and advertise it in Memphis. That's a little long bit of a drive. So we do
We've got time. We're all cooped up, so.
Yeah, I mean, I could deliver it. Maybe I'll just take a trip out to Memphis. So we do everything as far as we can for marketing and putting the word out there. A lot of paid advertising goes into it. And we have a team that specialize in SEO, and they really go above and beyond and market the daylights out of stuff. We even highlight units on LinkedIn, on Facebook. There's even Facebook groups for stuff found in storage units. So if it's something really weird and I know these people are into weird stuff, I'm like, hey, check out the weird stuff in this unit. So we do it all over the place for marketing.
Oh,
Gotcha.
yeah. All right, I'll give about 5 more seconds.
Yeah, we're getting
here
some
on the
good
poll.
results here. So online, gosh, Alonna, I'd say even a year or two ago, would you say that the majority of the people would be doing online?
No, a lot of people are scared. They don't want to be the first to do something. And online's been around for several years, but it's slow to adopt. There's always the pros and cons of both platforms, either doing it online or live.
Sure.
And you just got to get used to it. I will say people don't like change.
That is true. Yeah.
So, but once you get one that trickles, for example, I just picked up all of U-Haul's auctions in New York, and I got 3 phone calls within a few days from really small self-storage operators in New York, and they're like, hey, I need your help. The people we were using, one of their big groups that they used to get people to come to auctions through is no longer there, and I heard they switched to you. So even just one large operator changing can affect the little guys because they don't get the draw of the caravan for live auctions. If you've ever been to a live auction, they start at one location and then all 50 trucks and trailers round up and they do a little parade to the next location. So if you lose your big guy, it can hurt.
Yeah, gotcha. So are auctions a money maker for operators?
They're not there to be a money maker per se. They're there to get your rentable space back. So that is the biggest priority. No one wants to sell the unit. You do want to recoup some of your rent. That's part of the rent that you're missing. But it's not a huge moneymaker. And in pretty much every single state, if you make more than what they owe in rent, you got to give it back to them anyways.
Right.
So you're really not making anything off the auction. You're just recouping some of that rent.
Gotcha.
Some cases it's more, and some cases it's not. It's just, it really depends on how long you let the unit go. We get a lot of units that, maybe it's just a dresser and that dreaded mattress, and the tenant drove a Honda Civic and they just couldn't fit it in there when they moved out, and they left you those. They didn't tell you they moved out. So now you're stuck with these 2 items. In most states, you can't just throw it away. You've got to auction it off and hold a legal auction. Even if you get 0 bids on it and it's just trash, at least you've held the legal auction and now you can throw it away. So it's one of those things that it happens. And if you let that unit with that dresser and that mattress go for 6 months, you're racking up, let's say $600 in rent. You're not going to recoup that from a dresser and a mattress. It's just not going to happen.
So Lisa, what's our results here?
Did the results not share? So it looked like it was, let's see, share results.
So online auctions, so we've got quite a few people that are on. that are already doing it.
Yeah.
Be interesting to know the people in the chat, you know, why they haven't tried it, or maybe they've tried it and said, hey, this isn't for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Send kind of your feedback of kind of why, and then the ones that haven't done auctions, or maybe the people that haven't done the poll, we want to know kind of why. So maybe hopefully they have done auctions, they just didn't participate in the poll.
Yeah, there's, some people, it's online auctions are not for them.
Yeah.
Some people it just doesn't work for them. I had somebody tell me recently, online auctions will not work for me because I live so far outside of the metropolitan area. I'm in a little tiny town. And I'll tell you, Scott will know the little tiny town. It's Mojave, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
It is in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, nowhere.
Yeah.
But he averages right now, because he did switch all of his locations over to online, he averages $240 to $360 a unit. And he was used to getting anywhere from $40 to $60 for in-person.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but you have people like my weirdo husband who will drive the 3 hours to go pick up something if it's great. And he's not going to drive up there to potentially see something, but he'll drive the 3 hours. I don't know that I would, but he would. He sent me a car not too long ago. It was a 77 Ford Bronco that was in a storage unit in Las Vegas. And he's like, I'm bidding on it and I'm gonna
Oh
win.
my goodness.
Please don't.
Yeah, but you wanted to go to Las Vegas, so you're like, okay.
You're like, okay, I'm in. I'll go.
Yeah, he just wanted to drive up and drive back.
Yeah, so you actually bring up a great point that, just like a garage sale, you're like, okay, this is the stuff that's going to sell.
Mhm.
And then this stuff is going to be hard. And it's usually, you're just shocked. So you got people kind of traveling from a long ways away.
Yeah.
What happens if they don't show up? Or what happens there?
Yeah, so with online auctions, if the tenant does not, or not the tenant, the buyer does not show up, there's the option to click a no-show. You say, no, this person did not show up. Here's the no-show. You get a notice. And then it goes out to all the other bidders in the area that we have a unit that is no-showed and now available. And it goes over, this is how much the unit is. Would you like to buy it at this price? And for the most part, I'd say 95% of the time we get that second place bidder for that unit, and we're able to recoup it. They're actually quicker to pick them up, the second place bidder. They're pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because now they're like, all right, I'm in. I'm out of here.
Sold.
So yeah,
The operators have their own terms, right? I mean, so they set the terms.
Yes. So Lonnie, who owns our company, is a self-storage owner. He owns multiple locations in Texas and Louisiana. The idea of a vendor telling Lonnie how he had to run his company is hilarious. Like, I don't think any owner out there wants to be told, if you work with me, this is how you have to do this.
Right.
That's not going to fly with 99.9% of the owners out there. They want the option. They want to do what they feel is, appropriate for their demographic. They know the people that are in their area and how they're going to react to things. So we give them all the options. They can say that they're doing a 72-hour cleanup. I mean, you could give them a week. That's all up to you on what you want to do. We have some locations that are 24 hours. Some that say you have to schedule the appointment to pick up the unit. They want to know when you're coming. Others, it's willy-nilly, come during office hours, here you go. So there's all different things. We do a lot of auctions for Red Dot. Well, Red Dot, they're all remote. No one's there. So they do all of the payments online. So there's all sorts of different rules that you're able to do, and you get to customize everything yourself.
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, Alonna, I know you said, for some people, online auctions, they like the live auctions and they would prefer to stick to them. But have you seen, I'm sure you've seen an increase in online auctions since COVID, right? I'd assume. So moving into our next poll, we want to ask you guys, a lot of operators paused their auctions during COVID-19. Have you resumed yours? And if so, maybe drop in the chat when you started to resume them.
Perfect. Yeah, and I see Andrew, thank you very much for putting in the chat. Just kind of give us an idea, your specific situation. Try it. Did it work? How you made some changes. Be interested to see again people's success from there as well.
Yeah, and we have locations like Andrews who have said, the people just aren't cleaning out the units. One of the number one things that I drill into the locations that I work with, charge a cleaning deposit. I don't care if it's online or in person, charge a cleaning deposit. We recommend $100. Bidders are used to $100. You give me, let's say I win a unit for $100. You come in and pay me for the unit, you give me an additional $100, and I'm holding that $100 until I verify that my unit has been cleaned out. I have some owners that will send them down to the unit with a broom. They're like, not only are you cleaning out my unit, you're sweeping it out. So you can really, explain to them what your version of cleaned out is. Other rules are things like no dumpster privileges. You're not going to fill my dumpster with the crap that you don't want. You came here, you haul it all away and fill your dumpster with it. So there's all sorts of different things that you can do to prevent that person. And if for online, I don't know the in-person rules on this, but for online, for us, if you just get a bad bidder that you do not want to ever bid on your facility again, you can block them. And if they're really horrendous, tell me, and I'll block them from the whole website. So I don't want a bad bidder representing us. I have no problem blocking somebody if I need to.
All right, I'm gonna close the polling here.
All right.
Share the results. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of people have resumed. I know Paula put in the chat, she said, I've been contemplating resuming the auctions, but now another wave of COVID is sweeping and it could impact businesses again. So she said, so maybe not, which, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's gonna probably impact a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our locations, I have a Q&A too that I'm going to answer in just a second, but as far as the wave of sweeping through, yes, we're seeing this concern from a lot of operators out there of should I? The ones that we're telling you don't auction are the ones that you've talked to. They're your bartender who says, listen, I can't make money right now because my establishment's not allowed to open. Work with them. But if you have somebody who has completely ghosted you and they're not responding to phone calls, letters, text messages, I know CallPotential, you guys hunt them down. So your managers are trained to do phone calls. So it's, if they're not responding, they're not going to respond 6 months from now for the most part. So those are the ones we're seeing continue to go to auction, not just the people that are, responding. If they respond to you, I am a huge advocate for err on the side of compassion. These are people, these are your tenants. If they come to you and say, I have COVID, my spouse has COVID, I can't work because of COVID, understand, work it out with them. Heck, it could be even taking $100 and telling them, all right, just go ahead and move out.
Right. Get the whole lead with empathy kind of.
Empathy. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
So
and then
listen, we've got to go. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the other question that came in about the profit from auctions and if you can sell a unit more than what the tenant owes. Yes, every state has different rules. Some say you have to send the payment to them to their last known address, or if your address is unknown, you have to hold it in a bank account for a certain amount of time. So there's just different rules. You'll just want to consult with your state association or your lawyer on what you can do with your excess funds from an auction. Every state's a little different.
So we talked about COVID, certainly, and you kind of mentioned about how operators are adapting. Let's kind of talk about kind of how operators, stay ahead. So Alonna, you're the Grim Reaper. You're the one that sell the auctions. I'm the one that also helps operators kind of become maybe more or less the auction prevention business. I don't know. Can we say that?
It's all right.
But
I'm peanut butter, you're jelly. We still go
Exactly.
together.
Exactly. We go together. They're going to happen either way, right? But there's some measures where you can prevent them in some instances.
Yeah. So if we kind of take a step back, we really want to understand why people don't pay.
Yeah.
So really there's two reasons, right? So they either can't or they forgot. And when you start to think about that in simple terms, now you're saying, okay, the fact that, we don't want operators, they need to come up with a strategy, knowing those two things. And in that strategy, you don't want to make it time consuming. And your whole goal is, let's increase cash flow. So we're in the business, right? We're in the business of renting units. We're in the business, we can sell boxes, we can rent trucks. There's other ways that we really want to spend our time. So you had mentioned about calls. I can't imagine, even pre-COVID, making collection calls suck.
Yeah.
And during
Anybody
COVID,
really likes making them.
well, yeah, I mean, I don't know of anybody that maybe Bob out in Texas, he likes to do those.
Bob would
kind of
100%
things.
like them. He'd
So,
probably knock on their door.
He
Like, I have
probably
an
would.
address. I'm gonna come. We're gonna have this conversation face to face.
right. So, I mean, calls, yes, you don't want to have to make calls, but it's necessary evil, just like with auctions. Again, as I kind of joke about being in the auction reduction business, truly we want to be able to have the ability to come up with a plan to be able to communicate. So it comes to communication. This slide right here is actually a really good one. We've, for those of you that have participated in our other kind of fireside chats, and we've been doing a lot of stuff during COVID. This is interesting how people have been paying. This is actually thousands of people that over the last several months, and how the metrics have changed. We talk about online auctions and how that is a small percentage, is just even a few years back, and now it's becoming part of that mainstream higher adoption rate. But
So-
to see, go ahead.
Experienced something of this. I'm not late on my storage unit, but I got a new debit card and my expiration had expired. Or my expiration date expired. Verizon apparently had been emailing me for 3 months telling me, hey, your card's about to expire, update your automated payment. Didn't see it. Did not see it at all. Apparently they called me a couple times. Didn't see that either. They texted me and I was like, oh, my bad. I clicked on it. My debit. I mean, they were trying everything else to get a hold of me. I had no idea. So I can imagine the same with collections. They go to your spam, or like I've talked about, I have 6 kids. The overwhelming amount of emails I'm getting from schools, good luck at getting a response from me out of my personal email, because each kid has 7 teachers and each teacher sends the same dang thing. So it's quite a few emails every day and they get lost. But yeah, that one text message, I was like, sorry, Verizon, let me just update that.
My bad, right.
So yeah, text messages are great. They have really changed. Even we use text messages with our second chance units on those no-shows. Hey, there's a unit in your area that somebody didn't pick up. They are quick. And when we track where they came from to, buy that second chance unit, it's 99% of the time it is from a text message.
Yeah. I see Pam Ridley put in the chat, text messages work best. So, she's already adopted that. Some other people, again, are starting to use this more and more. But when you look at the percentages, now you're like, okay, I can really see how it's working for others. These are some things that you want to try. Again, reducing the number of collection calls, having those just difficult conversations. Text, email is certainly the simplest thing to do. Most property management softwares have the ability to generate those lists for past due tenants and to be able to send those out. So when you start to add some other ways to communicate, so you don't just have one source, now you're communicating the way that people wanted to be communicated.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Awesome. Well, I think we can, see if everybody's awake here, and we can do a little test poll. Who is going to win the game on Sunday? The Saints, the Buccaneers, or I don't like football and I thought this was an auctions webinar. So we're going to go ahead and start this poll here, see who's all joining in.
didn't Tom Brady go to the Buccaneers? Didn't he go to like
Yes.
Tampa or Florida? Okay, well, then I automatically don't vote for him.
No, Giselle went to the Buccaneers.
Well, I am an Indianapolis Colts fan, so
Are you?
it's in my blood that I don't like Tom
Wow.
Brady. Yeah, I
We're actually
actually
getting some pretty good participation on
Yeah.
this one.
I named my son after a football team. He is named Colton after the Indianapolis Colts. If he was a
Really?
girl, he was going to be Peyton. And for all you
No
Peyton,
way. Actually, I do remember you telling me that before. That's funny.
I'm fine with the
We
Bears.
get the Bears.
Bears.
Bears. I actually had a very good friend of mine play for the Bears against the Colts. So I rooted for him personally, but I rooted for the Colts. So,
All right, we'll give it a few more seconds
Lions.
here.
Yeah.
Holly says Lions. Lions for sure.
Lions.
Holly, you're in the minority there. Sorry.
And also to take it back to the last slide, Pam said she's been using texting for more than 10 years. So she kind of adapted before COVID. So that's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, if you ever
Great
want
job.
If you ever want a response from me, don't call me. Text me. Voicemail. I check my work
Otherwise, me too.
voicemail, but my personal one, I'm like, is there something wrong? Is there something
Yeah.
wrong?
Wow,
Well,
we've got an even split here.
Wow.
Same for both years.
So the game's going to be a tie, and we've got people that, hey, I don't like football. And
I'm with you on the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well,
Awesome.
certainly kind of some takeaways. We want to make sure we wrap up and also get some extra Q&A. We want to make sure too that, hey, by all means, the way to avoid any auctions, the way to avoid making collection calls is to get people on autopay. That's the simplest thing to do. And for those of you that are new in the industry, when you have somebody on autopay, we've got studies that say they tend to absorb rent increases better. They tend to stay better, stay longer. So keep those things in mind, and also have that be part of the process of when you're renting a unit. I just recently rented a unit up the street from us. He said, is this the card? He presented this, is this the card you want to use for your auto pay? And it really wasn't giving me the option. So I thought that was a great way for him. And I just signed up, and I said, I thought later on, like, damn it, I should have not. Because I want to see the whole process work. So
Well,
maybe I should take it off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, while you're working out, if you're keeping stuff or not, maybe just go get another storage unit and see if I don't want this. Our facility, when our family acquired our facility, my father-in-law asked me, hey, like 90% of our people are not on auto pay. How should I go about it? Well, he had to do a rent increase because it hadn't been done in several years. So some of them, they weren't off by too much. It was a few dollars. It was like $5. So some of them weren't bad, but we did that rent increase, and then we were getting ready to do our second rent increase, and we gave them the option, if you sign up for auto pay, you're not going to get your rental increase. And those were very minimal, but they were stunned, like, okay, I don't get a rent increase if I go on auto pay. And magically we went from, majority of our people not on auto pay to now I think we're at like 87% are on auto pay. So it's a good chunk of turnover back to auto pay, and it was worth a couple dollars a month to them. And for our location, it was worth a couple dollars a month for each unit to make our managers not have to call these people. So it worked out. And we have to call for expired cards, like me, who doesn't answer the phone for Verizon telling me my card's expired. But they get ahead of it. They do call them a month or two beforehand before their card expires to get the updated. But really, it drastically reduced down our managers' communication, which in turn reduced down our auctions, which sounds weird coming from the auction person. I don't want to have auctions at my site. I want you to pay your rent, and I want you to pay it on time. So, hey, even us auction people, we want you to pay your rent.
Right. And really, I mean, you were providing a service because there's a need. And same here. We provide a service to automate these processes. You can communicate and give them the ability to make a payment. Give them the ability to add, Autopay to their subscribers. If you don't need that, if you are on a high Autopay or your delinquencies are low, you don't necessarily need us. You may necessarily need, you actually, when you have fewer auctions, if you were doing live and you were trying to accumulate auctions before going live, now you can get that taken care of. So in a way, I can help you here, Alonna.
Yeah,
this is
there
my switch. So
yeah, our best customers are actually people who force autopay or require autopay, because you do get the tenants who do go away, disappear, move out in the middle of the night and leave you stuff. But there's always going to be a potential for an auction. Well, they're not holding, 10 units a month that they're going to auction. And that's not, you don't have more than one unit at a live auction. Virtually not very many people are going to come to your location. You're going to get a handful. In most states, you have to have at least 3 unrelated parties to hold a legal auction. So if you have 1 unit, you've got to fingers crossed that you're going to get more than your 3 to constitute a legal sale. So with online, you can have 1 unit and you're kind of piggybacking off of every single facility around you that is doing the online auctions, and our marketing team pushing it out to get the views and to get the bids to get that unit sold. You don't have to wait until you have 3, 4, 5, 6 units to sell, or piggyback off of one of the bigger operators in your area and hope that your facility is going to end up on these stops of these auction caravans. And then God forbid you live in like Illinois, you have to deal with snow.
Yeah.
Weird white stuff on the ground. No one wants to deal with that.
Amen.
Yep. And I will say, Pam posted something that the Storage Wars has made tenants aware that it's for real. We have seen an increase from live auctions to online, where when the tenant can click a link and see that their stuff is really online and it is really being sold, they're more likely to come pay their rent because they don't like the fact that it's real.
Yeah.
Right? When you open that threat that you're going to hold an auction on XYZ day and say, it's going to be Saturday at 9 a.m. and for whatever reason it's torrential downpour and your units get canceled, so then their stuff's not really being auctioned. Well, with online, I don't care if it's I'm like the post office. I don't care if it's raining, hail, sleet, snow. We will be there and we will be selling stuff online.
Love it.
Gotcha.
Love it.
So, Alyssa, do we have any other questions? I didn't see any other questions posted that.
No,
feel free, everybody, to
that
get
one. If you guys have any other questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the Q&A. We can go ahead and we can get to the live Q&A portion of the webinar.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if we get any questions, we'll certainly answer it live here. If we do miss something, we can always post it on our website.
Absolutely.
So, Alonna, as far as kind of the next thing happening with online auctions, are we going to see any other types of neat things or neat features that are going to be happening?
Yeah, so online auctions, it's just like any software provider out there. We're always looking to new and improve and things we can do to change and make ourselves better. Right now, we're going through an overhaul with our site link integration. So we are going to have it where the software, as soon as you click that they've paid their rent, it automatically cancels your unit on the auction. So you don't have to worry about your manager being like, whoops, forgot about that. So we're always looking for new things to do to improve our system. We released a product called Timeline Guarantee, which plays into my insurance background. So if you accidentally sell a unit outside of your lien law, maybe you sent their notice on the 14th day instead of the 15th day, or you didn't post it in the newspaper, but you put it on online. If you're putting in all of these dates and everything in our system, and it's going to check and say, yes, you're holding a legal auction, or no, you're not, you need to fix something. And if my system says that you held a legal auction and your dates are correct and it was not, we will actually reimburse your full $5,000 wrongful sale policy. So that plays into my property and liability insurance background. I'm still a licensed insurance agent, so we'll actually come
That's
back.
awesome. You kind of tied the two together.
Wrongful sale, yeah. Yes.
So we did get a question here from Bonnie. She said, what is the industry average for auction proceeds from a unit?
So right now, we're seeing about $260 to $280 a unit is the average that we're seeing across the country. Some parts you're going to see better returns, sometimes you're not. Now keep in mind that also goes for what your contents are. If you have a singular black trash bag in the middle of your unit, it's not going to go for 260, 240 bucks. It might go for 10 because people are curious. They want to know what's in the black trash bag. So we've seen some weird stuff like, really, you bought that? Okay.
And I was just going to say, we got another question in here, kind of a fun one. What's the weirdest thing that you found in an auctioned unit? Keep in mind, Alonna, we're live, so.
So the weirdest thing I've ever found in a unit, I haven't found too many weird things in the auction ones. I did have an adult inflatable doll strung from the top of one, and I was like, that's weird. But in my insurance days, the weirdest thing I found was roughly about 200 human teeth in a jar.
Get out of here.
They lose a lot of teeth, but not that many. So we did have to turn it over to the police because it's human body parts. And you never know if you got like a serial killer out there collecting trophies. But yeah, it was teeth. That was gross.
Ooh.
We do find a lot of ashes. We find ashes a lot. I've already warned all of my children. I swear, if I get cremated and you put me in a storage unit, I am haunting you. 100% I am haunting you. I do not want to go into a storage facility.
All right, looks like we got a few more questions. How much do you charge to the facility for an auction?
So it's pretty standard with the online auctions. There is a couple different things. So typically it's free to sign up. You don't have to pay anything to sign up. It is a 10% fee for the auction. If you have a unit that sells for $100, we collect $10 from the bidder as soon as they buy it, and then they come and pay you the $90. So it's a 90-10 split. If a unit needs to be canceled, there is a $20 cancellation fee. In most locations, they've actually put that fee back onto the tenant, and it will be an auction cancellation fee on their side that they're paying that $20. And that is it for our fees for the facilities. The one nice thing is, if you hold an auction and it is your bag of trash and you can't throw it away legally, according to most states, you got to do something with it, then you held the auction, it went for $0, so we charge 0%, and it's like free peace of mind to throw away the bag of trash. You have held your legal auction and off to the dump it goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think it looks like we answered all the questions.
Did all the questions? Yeah.
If anyone else has any other questions, feel free. You could throw it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll leave Scott's and Alana's contact info here. Feel free to contact them, reach out through, LinkedIn, email, phone. They're pretty much always available. So awesome.
Fantastic. Well, Alonna, thank you very much for
Thank you very much,
coming on
Alonna.
with me. It's always good to see you. Want to see you certainly in person.
I miss everybody. I can't wait to be back in person. I've actually done a lot of traveling, like door to door for locations. I'm like, I miss you. So, and I am working on, I know we had a couple Tennessee people. I am working on joining the Tennessee Self-Storage Association Roadshow. I've already secured my seat in that van. I was the first one. I was like, I'm going. I don't care where we go, but I'm going. So that might be at your door one day.
Well, if I don't find a house, I think I'm just going to get into
an
RV, and I'll just be mobile, and I'll just meet you out in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, any parting words of wisdom?
No, the only thing I have to say is keep erring on that side of compassion. I mean, it's rough out there, and we're hearing some heartbreaking stories. So definitely work with your tenants on that. I just compared your online reviews with somebody to your credit score. Dang, you missed paying one bill and they drop you 20%. You get a negative review and you've lost a star. You can start paying your bill and you only get $1 or like one little point back. So negative reviews are like that. Like protect it like your credit score, because man, those negative reviews hurt.
Yeah.
Truth.
Don't become the person that sells everybody's stuff. Just work with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more than willing to sell it, but work with your tenants.
Right.
Yeah, and I saw
Be
something in the
compassionate.
chat too. I think even COVID really has, again, people being more empathetic and working with the tenants. But you know, the end goal is to let's get that unit available so you can rent it to somebody that can also pay.
Well, and we had that conversation with a lot of locations during COVID was
Yeah.
a lot of people, even though, you know, there was rules on you not being able to move out or evict people, that wasn't in place right away. And we had college students galore who were being removed from their dorms, but storage facilities were holding on to so many delinquent units that these students didn't have anywhere to put their stuff.
Yeah.
Because so many people were just holding on to delinquencies because they couldn't sell them, and it hurt a lot of students. We had to, our locations just outside of U of A. I'm an ASU graduate, so we had so many students that didn't have places to store their stuff. We were occupied. I mean, the amount of college students that really got impacted by being told you have 48 hours to move out. That was rough.
What a mess.
Yep.
My goodness. Well,
So, Liz, I don't see any other questions. If you want to wrap it up here for
I
us.
think so. Yeah. So thank you so much, Alonna, for joining us again and sharing your insight and your expertise. So if you want to reach out to Scott or Alonna, both of them, I'm sure they have a ton of great resources, more information for you guys. Or if you just want to talk shop with them. So feel free to reach out, and we'll see you in the next webinar. So thank you so much, everybody.